Opinions and stories around the game we love, told by your favorite storytellers. Stay up to date with all things cricket. Subscribe to Cricbuzz's YouTube channel and press that bell icon now.
It's Cricbuzz Chatter, Adam Collins and Mike Hussey ahead of the final test match of the 2021-2022 Ashes series here in Australia and specifically here in Hobart. It's wonderful to be in Tasmania for their first Ashes test match, Mike. It's a bit wet outside at the moment, but never fear. The forecast is pretty good after tomorrow, and indeed it's not that bad for tomorrow either. So don't worry about that. We're going to get plenty of cricket at Bellerive Oval this week. And when we do, it'll be fascinating seeing what team sheets are exchanged at the toss. We expect Usman Khawaja will play for Marcus Harris, although that's not confirmed. We believe that Scott Boland didn't bowl in the nets this morning. Not sure what to read into that, but he did have several injections in his ribs to bowl last week. Michael Neese's in the mix. Maybe Joe Richardson's back. A lot of different combinations for Australia.
Yeah, there certainly is. It's a tough call on Marcus Harris. I think he's actually been batting quite well. He got a brilliant 70-odd at the MCG in difficult batting conditions, a couple of very good starts where he looked good again at the SCG, but I think he'll be kicking himself that he wasn't able to go on and make a big score and make a big 100 to cement his place in the team. And it's just sort of the perfect storm with Usman Khawaja playing out of this world and getting 100 in each innings. It seems as though his form's just too good. You can't leave him out. So, yeah, I'm expecting that change to be made, as much as I'd love to back Marcus Harris. As far as the bowling point of view, I think it's just going to come down to how they've pulled up. I think they'd all be keen to play. I was pleased to hear that Mitchell Starc doesn't want to rest. It's a pink ball game, and that he wants to be playing, and that would mean he play all 5 test matches, which I think is the right attitude. And for Scott Boland, he's had to wait over 10 years just to get an opportunity to play test cricket. I think he'll be pushing to play as well. But obviously, if he's not fit, then they'll look to make the change there. But if I'm expecting Scott Boland, if he's close to 100% of fitness, I'm expecting him to sort of push on to play as well.
And if you weren't to be, the fact that the selectors have got everything right in the series, be it Joe Richardson at Adelaide, Michael Neese bowled well at Adelaide, Scott Boland, what a story, 13 wickets already in the series. And even Usman Khawaja coming in unusual circumstances through COVID, rattling off twin tons and forcing this selection dilemma. I mean, the selectors have played a blinder. So you'd back them with whatever they think. And being a pink ball test match, I think you're right. The probability of Mitchell Starc putting his hand up for a rest, even though his record in the 5th test of a series isn't crash hot, everything changes when it's a day-night test match and Mitchell Starc's got that pink ball in his left hand.
Without doubt, his record's second to none, really. And he's bowled beautifully. I think at the moment, for me, he's the prime candidate for man of the series. He's been maligned in the past for being a bit erratic at times and inconsistent with his line and length. But I feel as though this series, it's been the most consistent he's been. And I was particularly impressed with how he stood up in Adelaide when Josh Hazlewood was injured. Pat Cummins was out due to a COVID close contact case. He had to be the man to stand up, and he'll be so happy that it's another pink ball test match in this series, because we just know what his record's like in these games.
Yeah, it's beautifully timed for him. As for England, it could be wholesale changes. We thought that might happen actually after the Melbourne test match, but owing to injury, Butler's going home. Sam Billings will make his test debut as wicketkeeper. Fantastic personal story there. In all probability, Rory Burns is going to replace Asib Hamid. Ben Stokes to play potentially as a specialist batsman. Johnny Bairstow, 50-50 call on that thumb. No real guidance as yet from the England camp. As for the seamers, James Anderson looks like he might miss for Ollie Robinson, and Stuart Broad and Mark Wood to play alongside him, with Jack Leach to miss out without the balancing mechanism of Ben Stokes to bowl there. So there could be up to 5 changes for England. Chris Wokes also, I should say, in to strengthen England's batting, and obviously will be an option to replace James Anderson as the primary seamer, and likely to take the new ball, I suppose, as he did at Brisbane at the start of the series. So, I mean, a lot to unpack there, but just to go back to Sam Billings, he'll get his chance at 30 years of age, lots of white ball cricket, an international century against Cummins, Hazlewood and Starc at Old Trafford in a one-day international a couple of years ago, and a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, you're right. It is a good story, and amazing. He's sort of been plucked out of the Big Bash, to come in and make his test debut down in Hobart. It is good. He's done his time. He's played well in one-day cricket. I feel as though he's really improved his game over the last couple of years to get up to a standard where I think he can have success almost immediately. And it was interesting listening to some of Joe Root's comments in the press saying he'll bring a lot of energy and a great attitude towards the team and a real buzz around the team. And I feel like England need a bit of that, that they need to be sort of up and about, and hopefully they can be buoyed by their performance in Sydney. But as you mentioned, they're hanging on by a thread. It's just whoever is fit can get out there and play, really. Again, I'd hope that some of those guys that are under injury clouds will push through a little bit. I'm not sure how bad Bairstow's thumb is, but he was able to bat in the second innings and do a really good job there. So hopefully he can push through the pain barrier. I certainly think you can pick Stokes just as a batsman. And then you're quite right, and it says it might just affect the balance of the team a little bit in whether they go for the spin option or the extra sort of seam option, because Stokes can't bowl. So yeah, there's a lot to play out there. I'm sort of less convinced about changing Hamid at the top. What's the point? They made their choice a couple of test matches ago. Why would you just go back? I think just give Hamid one more go at, and if it doesn't go his way, then I guess coming into a new series, you can look to make a change and start sort of fresh from there. So I don't really see the point in just making that change just for the sake of it, really.
Mike, Hobart is a ground where you averaged 102. It's where you made your first test ton against the West Indies back in 2005, where you had other success in other test matches as well. Tell us a little bit about this ground. It's hosted 13 test matches, but never England and Australia.
It's a beautiful place to play cricket. Down there in Tasmania, it's a little cooler, so the English will sort of probably enjoy that. Be a bit more like home for them. It's a quiet sort of little town, and it's a lovely cricket ground. You've got the mountain in the background, Mount Wellington there. Beautiful arena to play on. The outfield's always immaculate, and in the past, the pitch has been very good for batting. This one here, it looks a little bit different. It looks like there's plenty of grass on there. Pink ball game, day-nighter. We're not sure how it's going to play, so it might have a bit more favour for the bowlers on this occasion. But certainly when I played, I love playing there. It's just a magnificent place to play, and the public down there, they love their cricket, and I'm sure they'll get out there and support it.
Yeah, one thing I would say is that you can almost ignore those photos from 2 days out with the green on top, because historically, even when it's been green at Hobart, it's been a ground where you can make a lot of runs. With the exception of 2016, Huss, the last time Australia played here, it was a test match against South Africa. They were all out for 85 on the first morning, lost by an innings, and it was the catalyst for 6 changes to the test team. So, Khawaja actually made runs that week, as did Stephen Smith, but there isn't a lot of experience as far as playing down here. It has been a long time, 5.5 years, but yes, a fairly chastening Hobart experience back in 2016.
Yeah, that was a real watershed moment in Australian cricket history. Some big changes there and a change in direction. I think, we had not used to seeing Australia sort of not panicking, but sort of making these huge decisions, and they seemed like emotional decisions at the time. I felt for a few of the players there that were left out of the team. I think Callum Ferguson played just one test match, was a little bit unlucky in that test, and then he was gone. I think Joe Mennie might have played the one test match as well. And so there was a number of changes made that, were pretty tough calls at the time. So, I guess it sort of was the beginning of a bit of a tumultuous period for the Australian cricket team. And thankfully, they've been able to work their way out of it after some pretty desperate times. And it's been a good series for them in this particular series.
And in closing, Huss, hand on heart, do you think Joe Root's team have it in them they dug deep on the final day at Sydney. They dug really deep to secure that draw, but do they have it in them to take 20 Australian wickets and make enough runs to win this final test match?
I think they do. I think they showed their spirit and character at that SCG test match, fighting it all the way to the end, and under duress, some injury problems. That they showed that they're a proud bunch, and proud to be playing for their country. So I'm expecting them just to give it their absolute all for this last test match. Pink ball test, you just never know what's going to happen. Sometimes your team can get caught at the wrong side of the conditions, and the game can move very quickly. So if England can get themselves into a position to attack, then I hope that they'll push hard and go for the victory. But it should be another wonderful test. Can't wait for it to start.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope for a competitive test. It's dragged out across 5 days again. It was brilliant at Sydney last week to complete the series here at Bellerive Oval. We'll be here all week. Adam Collins and Mike Hussey. You can follow all the action on the scorecards, on the blog, and at Stumps. It'll be Cricbuzz Chatter with us. Until then, goodbye at Hobart.